I think it's on the hour, so I'm going to start. I want to say good morning and good afternoon to everybody. I'm Scott Murdoch, the Chief Nutrition Officer for NutriStyle, and I'll be the moderator for today's AARP's Personalized Nutrition Free webinar. That's titled, as you can see, Smarter You, Achieving Nutrition Goals That Stick. Just a quick housekeeping note about submitting questions during this webinar. You will be able to submit questions for Alana throughout this webinar using the Q&A icon that's on your screen. Mine's at the bottom of my screen. It says Q&A. But due to the large number of people who've registered for this event, we're not able to answer each of your questions. Instead, my role will be to select the most frequently asked and relevant questions and present them to Alana for discussion at the end of her presentation. How many questions we get to will depend on the remaining time available. So with that, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Alana Benito, who has a nutrition science degree from the University of Connecticut and is a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist. She is the founder of the virtual medical nutrition therapy company called Vita Eats Nutrition, where she leads a team of registered dietitians that provide care for clients with an array of nutrition-related health conditions. Alana and her team of dietitians are also part of AARP's Personalized Nutrition Dietitian Network, offering AARP users 3 online sessions with a registered dietitian, along with the annual subscription to the Dynamic Meal Plan Creator tool. You will find all of this and more at nutrition.aarp.org. So without further ado, I'm pleased to turn it over to Alana. All yours.
Thank you, Scott.
You bet.
And thank you, AARP guests, for being here today. As Scott said, we'll be discussing how to create goals that you can stick to. So this presentation is unique because I would love for you to grab a piece of paper and jot down your goal as we move through the presentation. Normally, our presentations that I do, we would be able to talk back and forth, but because of the volume of people, as Scott said, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A. And again, I really encourage you to jot down some notes as we move through the presentation. So as Scott mentioned, I'm a registered dietitian and owner of a nutrition practice that helps individuals manage chronic disease via virtual sessions. I'm also part of the AARP Personalized Dietitian Network. I may have met some of you that are on this presentation today if you've opted into the AARP Personalized Nutrition Program. So just a disclaimer, before starting any new diet or exercise program, please check with your doctor and discuss any exercise and or diet changes with them before beginning. So we're going to be creating SMART strategies. So I'd like you to take a moment and think about a goal you made and maybe did not achieve. If that goal is still relevant in your life, keep it in mind through this presentation and jot down some ideas on how you can restructure that goal into a SMART goal. If the goal is no longer relevant, maybe think of one that is, whether it be health, personal, financial, etc. After this presentation, take a few minutes and transform it into a SMART goal. And when creating a goal, we want to set ourselves up for success, and these SMART goal strategies can do just that. So this strategy can be for any type of goal, as I've mentioned, but today we're going to focus on health goals and specifically nutrition. So as you could tell, SMART is an acronym, and this is what it stands for. So it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So SMART goals, they provide clarity, focus, and motivation versus vague goals. So why are SMART goals important? Now we know it's late February, so most of us have already thought about and maybe forgotten about our New Year's resolutions. But this bar graph is a good example of how we as humans have excellent intentions, but our follow-through needs improving. So you can see here in blue, 77% of people who make a New Year's resolution keep it the first week. So 77%, that's a pretty good number. But as you can tell, the success rate of New Year's resolutions decreased drastically over time. So a month later, only 36% of people keep their resolution for the first month. If you've ever been to a gym in January, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the gym is packed with people. Come January 31st, the numbers have really decreased as far as attendance goes. So you might have seen that firsthand. And after 1 year, only 12% of people have kept their New Year's resolutions. So personally, this might be controversial, but I am not a fan of New Year's resolutions. You don't need to wait until the calendar changes to make a change, especially if come January 1st, you aren't ready to make the change. So when you're setting goals, first and foremost, it's super important to recognize what stage of change you're in. So just very briefly, the 5 stages of change are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Now, these are things that don't require definitions. The name says what it is. So if you're someone who's in pre-contemplation, you might not think you have to change. You might have too much else going on in your life. You're going to want to wait until you're in the contemplation stage and move towards the preparation, action, and then the goal is maintenance. So today we're going to work on the preparation stage of changing. And again, we know it's late February, so these are not about New Year's resolutions. It's about SMART goals in general and how they can improve your life if you create a SMART goal. So let's get into it. Whether you're creating a resolution or a mid-year decision, how can we turn these goals into results? The SMART method can improve performance because it is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's get into it. One thing that's going to be important is that when you create a SMART goal, you write them down and you review them often. Now this says them. I'm not expecting you to create more than one. You may, different facets of your life may require different SMART goals, but today let's just focus on one. So SMART goals are more wordy, if you will, than vague goals. So for example, eat more vegetables. That's only 3 words. A SMART goal has a lot more words in it because again, you have to check off the acronym SMART, but having more words gives you more guidance on how to achieve that goal, and it makes them easier to achieve. What I would suggest is once you create your SMART goal, either write it out or type it out, print out a few copies, and hang it where you are multiple times a day. So whether that be on your bathroom vanity mirror, so you see it when you're brushing your teeth, maybe in your car where you put your coffee cup, something like that, so that when you're running errands or you're coming home from work, you see that goal multiple times a day. So you're reminded and it stays relevant in your life. So let's get into the different parts of SMART goals. So we're going to be looking at these 3 vague goals throughout the presentation and how you can use these examples to make them into a SMART goal. So these 3 examples I think are pretty common: eat more vegetables, lose weight, exercise more. Those are 2 words, 3 words, very vague. So the point of making a goal specific is to be clear and concise. So for eat more vegetables, perhaps you would write, I will eat more vegetables by including them in my daily meals. So you're moving towards what you're going to do to achieve that. Lose weight, I want to lose weight by improving my diet and exercising regularly. Exercise more, I want to increase my physical activity by incorporating regular exercise into my weekly routine. So if you have that piece of paper and you wrote out your goal, think about ways you can make it more specific and be clear and concise in those ways. So next, you want your goal to be measurable. So make sure your goal and progress are measurable so that you can track it. So this is where you add the numbers. So when you add the numbers, it is very specific and therefore measurable. So for example, I will eat at least 2 servings of vegetables with lunch and dinner every day. There you go. You have something that you can measure. Lose weight. I will lose 8 pounds over the next 3 months. Now there's 2 numbers in there. So you have your the amount of weight you want to lose and then the time frame, which we will get into time frames a little bit later with the T. And for exercise more, I will exercise for at least 30 minutes, 5 times a week, That's measurable. So what helps these SMART goals is to have some tools to help you track them, right? So I would suggest maybe a physical flip calendar, one of the ones you get for free if you donate somewhere, pick it up at the dollar store, something along those lines. You can mark off, for example, how many servings of vegetables you've had a day until you get into the habit of doing it, and then you don't need to do it anymore. Again, you have to build habits in order to achieve your goals. So another example would be if you use a meal planning tool like AARP Personalized Nutrition, you can easily mark off there the foods that you've eaten, and the algorithm is going to make you eat more vegetables, whether you like it or not. And especially if you work with a dietitian to customize the AARP Personalized Nutrition meal plan, you're definitely going to be getting more than 2 servings of vegetables a day. And I would like to note regarding measurable, you see my example of exercise more. That might seem like a lofty goal. Again, these are general goals. These won't be your goals, but you can break it up and you can make it easier for you. So another example for exercise might be, I will walk 7,500 steps a day. That's much easier than saying, I'm aiming, sky's the limit. I'm aiming for 20,000 a day. You don't need to do that. You just need to have it be something that you can measure and that's realistic for you. And here we are with the realistic. You want the goal to be achievable. It's highly individualized. So for you, 7,500 steps might be realistic. A lot of people aim for 10,000. Research actually shows that 7,500 is the sweet spot. I'm not here to limit you. If you're looking for a goal, 10,000 steps, that's excellent. But again, it needs to be achievable for you specifically. So if you're going from couch potato to running a marathon, that's not super realistic. You want to try something, like the couch potato to the 5K, something like that. You want to be achievable for you specifically. And I don't know you, you know you, and your health partners know you. So create the goal based on yourself. So now to be achievable, here are, some bite-size goals for the 3 examples we have here. So instead of eat more vegetables, try, I will plan my meals ahead of time and keep pre-cut veggies readily available for convenience. So with this example, you're creating a tool to help you achieve the goal. So instead of just eat more veggies, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this, which is pre-cut my veggies so that they're readily available for convenience. Now, I understand that you could buy pre-cut veggies from a grocery store, just to give an example, but those are more expensive. So if you don't want to spend more of your grocery bill on convenience, that's fine. What I personally do, buy the veggies whole, wash them really well whenever you have time. So if that's right when you get home from the grocery store, great. And you're going to want to chop them up, prep them so that you can use them throughout the week. So a great example is if in 2 days you're having fajitas for dinner, you grocery shop on a Monday, let's say, you want the fajitas on Wednesday, you get home from the grocery store, wash them, chop the bell peppers, chop the onions, put them in a glass container in the refrigerator so that Wednesday afternoon when you're tired after a busy day, you can just grab that container, throw it in a pan, add a protein like chicken or lentils, and then you have a delicious, balanced dinner, and you're not resorting to a convenience food because you thought ahead and gave yourself the tools to succeed. So further on the achievable side of the goal for lose weight, I will achieve this by exercising for at least 30 minutes, 4 times a week, and reducing my daily calorie intake by 500 calories. This is a great example of having a meal planning tool as a tool. So if you have the AARP Personalized Nutrition software on your side, you can log what you're eating. So you'll automatically know if your intake is decreased by 500 calories, 400 calories, 300 calories, whatever it is, whatever cadence you're setting for your weight loss. And that's achievable because it's bite-sized actions you can take. It's not huge, we're not fasting to lose weight. We're not doing that. So another example exercise more. I will alternate between activities I enjoy, such as jogging, strength training, and yoga to keep it manageable and fun. Again, specific examples that are achievable. You're not, you do yoga all the time. We're not saying to go run 5 miles a day. We need to meet you where you are. So again, they need to be relevant. You need to align the goals with your priorities and what is going on in your life currently. So eating more vegetables will improve my health and help me meet my nutrition goals. This is your why. Why are you doing it? Improve nutrition, have a healthier life, live longer, etc. There's different things and you'll get more specific depending on your situation. Losing weight will improve my overall health, boost my energy levels, and increase my confidence. Again, your why to the lose weight. Exercise more. Regular exercise will improve my physical health, boost my energy levels, and reduce stress. If you have your why, you're more likely to stick to your goal. And finally, adding some more numbers in, time bound. Let's set some deadlines for these goals. So it's very important that your goal can be achieved in a moderate time frame. Again, a lot of New Year's resolutions, it is a year-long time frame. That's too long for one goal. That's why you need to have smaller, bite-sized SMART goals. So let's say you meet your first SMART goal, 3 months later, you have a new SMART goal, and that could get you through the whole year or the whole 2 years or whatever your final deadline is. But these SMART goals need to be manageable with bite-sized actions you can take. So for example, I will follow this plan consistently for the next 3 months and evaluate my progress weekly. That's for the vegetables. Lose weight, I will reach my goal within 3 months, tracking my progress weekly. So how you're going to do that. And then I will maintain this routine for the next 3 months and review my progress monthly. You can tell there's a sweet spot of 3 months. Why I wrote 3 months. So there's research that suggests on average, it takes 66 days to form a new habit. Some take less time, some take more time. Once a habit is formed, it becomes second nature. So think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to actively think about doing that every day because it's become a habit in your life. This is what we want to do. We want to decrease our mental load, not add to it. So we give ourselves 3 months to develop a habit. We develop the habit, and then we move on to the next. So putting them all together with the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, here are our 3 examples. I will eat at least 2 servings of vegetables with both lunch and dinner every day for the next 3 months by planning my meals ahead of time and keeping pre-cut veggies readily available. You have all the parameters of the SMART goal there. For the weight loss, I will lose 8 pounds over the next 3 months by exercising for 30 minutes, 4 times a week, and reducing my calorie intake by 500 calories. I will track my progress weekly to stay on target. I will exercise for at least 30 minutes, 5 times per week, alternating between jogging, strength training, and yoga for the next 3 months to improve my physical health and overall well-being. So as you can see, these are much longer than the vague eat more vegetables, lose weight, exercise more. And there's a reason for that. So I'd like you to take a minute to look at your goal, if you've written it down, and see how you may expand on it. Maybe just jot down a few notes while it's fresh on your mind, being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. While you're doing that, I want to give you another example. Maybe you're thinking of lowering your cholesterol. So an example of that, maybe I will eat at least 5 servings of fiber-rich foods, such as oats, beans, fruits, each day, and replace red meat with plant-based proteins, like lentils and tofu, at least 3 times per week for the next 6 months to help lower my LDL cholesterol. So this is great. We know fiber-rich foods can decrease your cholesterol. So there we are incorporating that. We're getting rid of some saturated fat by replacing our red meat. And this goal we'll break it down, is specific because it focuses on fiber intake and reducing red meat. Measurable, it tracks servings of fiber-rich foods and meat replacements. Again, there's numbers involved. Achievable, it's realistic without drastic changes. And it's relevant, directly supports cholesterol reduction based on research, etc., what your doctor, what your dietitian tells you. And then it's time bound. There's another number in there set for 6 months to allow progress tracking. For this one, since it's a lab value, I specifically did 6 months because generally that'll coincide with labs that your doctor may order if cholesterol is something that you're working on. So these are some additional tips that will help you in creating SMART goals to set you up for success. So you want to start gradual and ramp up. An example that I love to give is people who say, I want to eat less junk food. They grab a trash bag, they head into their pantry, they start throwing out the Oreos, the super processed granola bars, whatever, anything that you might think of as junk food. They're chucking it in this garbage bag. They move to their fridge, they do the same thing, and then they take it out and they put it in the trash. Okay, in theory, that's great. We're just cutting to the chase and getting to our goal. But later that night, you're tired from doing that. You're mentally exhausted. You just got rid of all your favorite foods that you're so used to eating on a regular basis. Maybe now you're crashing. Maybe you're now getting Uber Eats. You're going to the grocery store and getting something quick. If you had done it gradually and, said maybe next grocery trip, I'm not going to buy the Oreos. I'm not going to replenish these other things that I think are junk food. And you are going to replace them with something else so that when you're hungry at the end of the night, you have something helpful to eat. That is much better. It's gradual. You ramp it up versus going cold turkey on something. So that's going to be really important for these goals. So another thing is consistency. Again, creating your habits. Be patient with yourself. Habits take, again, at least 66 days to become habits and become part of our routine. On that same token of being patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. It's important to recognize that your stage of change. Often in private practice, one-on-one counseling as a dietitian, the first step of any session is to figure out what stage of change the client is in. If they're in pre-contemplation and the doctor made them go to a dietitian and they just don't want to be there, they don't recognize the need for change and maybe unwilling to participate in the change, we have to then work on raising awareness of the need for change. So think about what stage you're in. Maybe you're contemplating it. Maybe you're in that prep stage, which is great. If you're in the prep stage, create the SMART goal, and then you'll have your actions to make it achievable. And another important thing is consider finding an accountability partner. So a friend or family member would be great to tell your SMART goal to and have them help you achieve the goal. There's a study, I believe it's Michigan State, found participants who wrote down their goals, developed action plans, and provided weekly progress updates to a friend had a 76% success rate in achieving their goals. In contrast to those who didn't write down their goals and didn't have accountability, had a much lower success rate, less than 43%. So just something to think about, getting yourself an accountability partner. If you choose a friend or a family member, it'll be important for you to set parameters. Yes, share that SMART goal. Choose your frequency that you're comfortable with for a check-in and choose that person wisely. You want someone who picks you up and doesn't put you down. So you want the person who will be the walking buddy, maybe if exercising is your thing. And we'll say, hey, instead of our normal meetup to go watch a movie or something of the sort, why don't we head to the park and go walking? I live in Florida, so I'm used to being able to walk all year round. If you're up north and it's snowing currently, maybe you choose the friend who says, hey, let's take advantage of these free sessions that AARP has for yoga or something of the sort online. Do that together. You could be fun, socializing, You know, you don't have to be a yogi to do it, just something along those lines. So have that partner. Another example is you want someone who will understand that things happen in moderation. So if you're out to dinner with them and you want to order, you know, the chips and queso, I'm a dietitian. That's my weakness. I'm at a Mexican restaurant. I'm going to eat that. I don't care if it might be processed. Doesn't matter. You don't want that friend who's going to say, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, you know, whatever. You want someone who will support your health goals kindly. So keep that in mind. Lastly, a great option for you as AARP guests, you have the opportunity to tap into a valuable resource, which is the AARP Personalized Nutrition Dietitian. So you can have access to a dietitian and then of course the powerful meal planning software. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that is at length here. So first you can go to nutrition.aarp.org to find out more, but I'm going to explain it a little in depth right now. So first of all, if you're not familiar with meal planning, there are several benefits to meal planning. One, it offers greater balanced nutrition. So you'll get new ideas of what to cook. So this plan has recipes. It also has some convenience foods because we know we're not cooking recipes 3 times a day. So you'll have a more well-rounded diet because of the new ideas. And especially if you choose the sessions with a dietitian, they will offer you even more ideas. If weight management is your goal, the meal planning software allows you to track what you're eating, even if it's not on the meal plan. Let's say if you're a teacher and you're at school and you wanted to eat the school lunch that day, you can delete what the dietitian wrote out for you or what the algorithm wrote out for you and log what you actually ate. And it'll tell you your calories, your protein, fat, all your macronutrients, and it will also tell you micronutrients. It reduces reliance on packaged foods, but again, there is the option to add in convenience foods if you need it. And the software is always adding new brands, etc. And it saves you money, which is great. So you get a grocery list, so you won't go into the grocery store blind. Again, you know that piece of advice, don't go to the grocery store hungry. You should also not go into the grocery store with no list. You'll have a list, so you'll save money. You won't be buying, you know, the BOGOs and all of this because you know what you need. You have your meal plan. You don't have a lot of space to add in other things because you have a nice plan that's custom to you. And of course, because of that, it also makes your grocery shopping more efficient. And then you save time because you're not spending a ton of time meal planning yourself because you have either the dietitian or the algorithm doing it for you. And the meal plans, they could be for one person or for multiple people. Your dietitian, if you work with a dietitian, can adjust the serving sizes of the recipes for you. Or when you're grocery shopping, you can just double, triple, depending on how many people are in your family so that the meal plan works for everyone. And also if you sign up, you get a free login for a family member. So if you're not the one who does the grocery shopping and they do, they can log in and see what's going on. So there are a lot of good options. So if you're making a SMART goal and you need a guidance from a professional, you can, as being an AARP guest, you can choose this route. And if you opt into the dietitian, you'll have someone holding your hand through it as well. So now I will turn it back over to Scott to see any questions we may have.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Those were very helpful behavior change strategies. Thanks, Alana. And again, just a reminder that the link there for the AARP's personalized nutrition offerings is at nutrition.aarp.org. So we've had a few questions here. Let me just start it off by doing the first one, which is, where have you seen people in your practice struggle the most with a SMART goal approach?
Yeah, so I would say just developing it because it can seem overwhelming because it is longer. So really, it's about having several drafts. If you're not working with a professional, you'll need several drafts to really fine tune it so it's not overwhelming. And then the other thing is being in the correct mindset to be ready to set your goals.
Mhm.
And again, I will emphasize that having actual numbers in the goal is key because it makes it less overwhelming, because then you have something to aim for, like the 5 servings, 5 days, something along those lines.
Something concrete. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I have another one. Once you've created your SMART goals, and I think you addressed this partially, but it still came up. If they're not going according to plan, how should you approach adjusting it? And I guess that would depend on what part of it is not going to plan, right?
Yeah. So since they're time bound, I would recommend reviewing halfway through your deadline. So you're going to be looking at these regularly, right? Especially if you followed my advice and printed them out and put them around your house. But at the, let's say if it's a 3 month time frame, at 1.5 months, you look
Mhm.
at it and say, okay, how is this going? And if it's not going well, again, push it back, make it more realistic. So if
Right.
you're not getting those 5 days of exercise, look at your life. Maybe you're picking up kids for activities, going golfing a lot more than you thought you would, though golfing is an exercise, so that's not a great example. But um, push it down to 3. So maybe you need to do 3 days and then readdress at 3 months. Okay, you a month and a half, you addressed, you kind of made your goal a little bit more realistic and achievable. And then at 3 months,
Mhm.
maybe you're ready to take the leap into 5 days or something of the sort.
Right. Makes sense. There's a few questions, and they're a little bit off the SMART process, but one of them is, what do you think of intermittent fasting for women over 55? That's really a targeted, specific one, and of course, it depends on so many other variables related to that. But maybe you have a general comment about that question.
Yeah, sure. So that is very, very specific, but no, that's okay. So if it's on your mind, let's briefly talk about it. Um, Again, highly individualized. Intermittent fasting, it depends on what you're using it for. So if you're using it for weight loss, the reason it works is one of the reasons it works is because you are creating a calorie deficit. So if intermittent fasting works for you for weight loss, it could be because it's creating a calorie deficit
Mhm.
because you're simply not eating breakfast, or you're simply not eating dinner, or you're not doing the late night snack. Whatever time frame you choose, you're cutting out calories simply because you can't fit them into the time frame that you are eating. So a lot of women struggle with retaining weight once they hit a certain age, hit menopause. If it's a tool that's working for you, great. Definitely talk to your doctor, your dietitian about it specifically, because there's a safe way to go about it. And they would be able to look at more personalized factors like your labs and things like that to make sure it is a good fit for you. And one more thing on the topic, if you do use meal planning for it, and this is a good fit for you, you can easily delete a meal from your meal plan or something of the sort so that you don't have that in your algorithm constantly reminding you that you're skipping out on breakfast.
Right, right. Good. Here's a question. Would the personalized nutrition app work for specific issues like diverticulitis?
Yes. So when you log in to the personalized nutrition app, you can set your goals there. So
Mhm,
there's a goal, there's individualized menus, let's say vegan, avoiding certain things. So for
mhm,
diverticulitis, if you're avoiding, um, not to get too specific, but if you're avoiding certain grains or nuts,
mhm,
something of the sort, you can say that you don't want those in your algorithm.
right,
But if you want to be super conscious about that type of diet, I would recommend pairing with the dietitian for the 3 sessions. Will note that this is not medical nutrition therapy. It's a dietitian guiding you through the meal plan for your specific needs. But the dietitian's knowledgeable of disease
mhm,
states, so they would be able to help alter it for your specific condition.
yep. Good. There's a couple regarding what is the cost of the offerings at AARP, and I'll just reiterate, please go to that link, the nutrition.aarp.org, and you can get all the information of all the different kinds of offerings, the free and subscription. They're all found there. Let me see if there's another question. Um, Some are very specific, so I think they're beyond the scope of this. Yeah, and a lot of people are saying thank you. So I think we're through the questions that we have at this point. So um, we can begin to wrap this up then, since all the questions have been presented. So um, I'd like to conclude this webinar session. I want to thank Alana for providing insightful strategies on how to help make our behavior changes and nutrition goals more achievable. And I hope all of you listening found that helpful. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for tuning in, and eat well, of course.
Thank you, everyone.